Anybody need 2-minute warning?
Nope.
All right, good, good. So, call our work session to order for the March 20th meeting, White County Board of Education. To order. So what we'll do, board members, we'll go through, as we normally do, we'll go through consent agenda items, and we'll include some reports that some members will be given the opportunity to address during this time. We'll go through our consent, see if there's any items. Again, if there's anything that needs further discussion, we have the opportunity to pull those out. We'll do that at when we discuss the approval of the agenda for this meeting. Add those into the new business items as we proceed through our agenda. So with that, we'll start through our list, including your electronic packet was a copy of the minutes from our work session and regular board meeting in February. So I'll pause now if there's any questions, corrections, clarifications that need to be made on the minutes that were provided. Okay. If not, then we'll move on to the next item, consent item, and that's item 6B. There's some budget amendments that we'll address tonight. No new money coming into the district, unfortunately. There's some coding corrections that need to be made, and then there's some items that were over budgeted that, based on director's recommendation, we need to consider moving to other categories so they can be used there. So I'll let directors speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First is General Purpose School Fund 141. It's an amount of $6,000. This is budget funds received from Stellar Therapy Services to offset the cost of nursing supplies. You'll remember, if you'll recall, I believe last year the board passed to allow Stellar to track the services that are used with some of our TennCare students, and then that money then gets reimbursed back to the county, back to the district. So we've received $6,000 back for just allowing them to turn in those costs and recoup that for us. So it's $6,000 that will go back into nursing supplies for our school system. So budget amendment. The next budget amendment is Fund 142, Subfund 951. This is the out-of-school time career pathways. This is a CTE grant. This is a coding change. We're just changing it from the revenue code change from one code to another. So this is $75,000 that we'd received in that grant. Just changing the code for that in accounting, where it's in the line item that's placed. The next is Fund 142, again, the 951 out of school time career pathways grant. This is an amount of $5,701.55 to amend the budget transfer of unused funds to be budgeted into a line that allows for purchasing of those materials not considered instructional. So just moving it into the appropriate line for that spending of materials, for that cost of materials. And then finally, Fund 142, Subfund 802, this is CTE Perkins Reserve Grant, in the amount of $5,107.58 to transfer unused materials and supply funds to the equipment code to complete the criminal justice project. So criminal justice, I believe, bought some partitions for their classroom. They have some 911 call centers set up in there. They're very impressive. And so this is to use some unused money and supply materials to purchase the equipment. And that's all the budget amendments for this month.
Okay, so you had an opportunity to look at those in your packet prior to the meeting. So any questions for Director on the budget amendments and transfers?
So is the $75,000, is that a new income stream, or is that a one-time?
No, it's I'd like Mr. Ward to probably speak to that specifically. I don't know, Carl. I know it's one. I really don't know if it's recurring or not. I'd have to ask Mr. Ward. I don't want to answer that and be incorrect on that.
But what
Dr.
are we going to
Butcher,
use this
do you
one for?
recall?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not as familiar with
Yeah. It's a lot, it has to do with the out of school time, so it has to do with, I think, trips to, like TCAT, to the field trips and
Okay.
things like that that they take, to opportunities for students after school, and along those lines. So that's what, but I can get more definition for that from Mr. Ward.
Please do.
I will.
Okay, good question. Any other questions regarding budget amendments and transfers? Okay. Then next we go through the consent item. Tonight, policies 5106 and as well as 5118. Those are coming up for second reading. As you recall, there was some verbiage change in those policies, changing shall statements to may statements, and in order to regarding the reimbursement for background checks. So those policies are coming up for second reading tonight, and will go into effect if they remain in consent agenda. Any questions, comments on those policies? Changes there? Okay. Second item in that, I want to thank each of you for your diligence in going through and reviewing Section 3 policies. I gave you probably a little short notice, but that might be better. It might be better for me to give you short notice, so that way you're not like, if you're like me, you tend to procrastinate on things if I give them a lengthy amount of time. But there was some really good review in that, and I appreciate you looking at those. Again, looking at the policies, there's a couple of things I think that serves us well in doing this, especially considering some board members that may be going through this for the first time. One, if there's a question on policy, it gives you the opportunity to reach out to a director and ask that and try to get an answer there. And so that's good, and I understand that several of you have with some of the questions that you posed. Then also it's a good reminder for us as a board to look and see if there's anything that we should be doing that maybe drawing some attention to that maybe needs a little extra effort. So that's opportunity for us to do that as well. And then the last thing is just the verbiage of the policy as it reads, to see if there's anything from that may come out in the policy that we question, are we really doing this? Should we be doing this? Has anything changed? So it's all good. So I appreciate the reviews on that. If my count's correct, I think there was approximately nine policies where I give you the opportunity to sit in these discussion that were recommended for discussion. I didn't, given the fact we put the agenda out for tonight's meeting prior to the fact. Gave everybody the chance to review that. If there's anything you'd like for me to put on our next meeting agenda, we can certainly do that. But if there's any comments on that, if you want to address, I know Ms. Fowler, Ms. Officer, Ms. Stone, and Ms. Sackett all had some comments there. So if there's anything you want to maybe consider for an upcoming meeting, let me know now, or you can give you some time to think about it and come back to it.
On mine, there was some stuff that I'm not really sure about, like who has keys to the vehicles, and then some of the security stuff. So I thought that was very important details that we might ought to go over.
Okay. Of course, I'm sure we probably have some procedures as far as giving out keys and to those who can drive. But could you maybe speak to that one for just a minute?
I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but the keys are within school vehicles, are kept at the school under the direction of the principal, who has procedures on how they're handed out. I know our district vehicles, the keys are kept in front office, and we have a schedule and a calendar of who uses those and how they're shared out.
And another thing, it said shall, the vehicle shall be drove by bus driver only? Don't some of the things get, like the cheerleading bus, and some of the
No.
others get,
Well, that's be school employees, school personnel. So
are you sure that's the way it reads?
I don't know, which policy are you talking about?
The one that my name was on.
3402. Yeah, you did. Maybe you need to go back.
Mhm.
Yeah, school buses have to be driven by school bus drivers or those with a CDL. Well,
Right.
depending, yeah, to
Yeah.
carry passengers, but the board-owned vehicles are not just, we're differentiating those from school buses. So that would include any school employee is covered under our insurance to drive those. So our vans and
Our vans is different than.
cars, yes, than the school buses. Yeah, school buses require, especially with passengers, require a
CDLs.
CDL language, license, yes.
But I didn't know, like the 15 passenger van or something, I didn't know
Well,
if that would
that-
be considered.
Well, I don't know that we have any 15-passenger ones, and you couldn't do that either, because when you have to I guess, when you get to a 15-passenger van, you'd have to have a passenger endorsement on your license
Right.
as well.
Now, I knew that, that's the reason I wasn't sure about that.
But they can carry, in those 7-passenger vans, we have several of those, and we have the Dodge Journey, my truck, any of the work vehicles at the maintenance department, they all have to be school employees, would be insured to drive those. But passengers is a different story. But you should be able to carry a coach could drive a van as an employee and have 6 ball players with them, so.
It's good, good question. That's what this time's for.
So,
Any other?
one other thing, so do school bus drivers have to have a CDL, or is it just a endorsement for a chauffeur's license?
You have to have CDL
Okay.
and you have to have an S endorsement and a P endorsement. S is the school bus and P is
Okay.
passenger.
I know at one time it used to just be like a special chauffeur's
Yeah,
license.
so the passenger is the one that gets you of over 12
Okay.
passengers, I think 15 passengers and above. But for school bus, you have to have a specific S endorsement.
Okay.
And you have to wear and record the use of your CPAP machine. Just saying.
Really?
Or they will take your CDL.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And during COVID, they will come to your house and confiscate your respiratory machine. I've just heard.
I have a question about policy 3.3001. It's because it talks about the use of pagers and two-way radios over cellular phones, and I thought that was a bit outdated. Because pagers aren't really used anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I think that came up at TSBA once upon a time, and they can be. I think the conversation then was because they are reliable in some situations where cell phones do not get good service, that pagers tend to do better in some regards, and that's why hospitals would still use them and have repeaters and things, and so that doctors, even long after cell phones came about. So I think that's why, if I remember correctly, why that language was still there. But I have no plans on issuing pagers to everyone. But that's a good point. It's a good call, and I can follow up on that and see if there's a need to remove that.
The approximate magnitude of providing cell phones, because so many people now just use their own personal cell phones for work or personal use. Do we have a fair amount of those in the system?
We do. The schools are responsible if principals have those, and like I say at the high school, if all the principals have those cell phones, the school themselves pays for those. They pay for the bill on that. There are a number of central office staff that have their cell phones that are purchased, they're paid for, because they do so much of their work that day, and they have to be on call for their work, so that they're paid for. But beyond administrators, and maintenance that have to be on call, there's not many. Not a lot of teachers or any teachers I know of or department heads that have those. A lot of our supervisors don't even have office phones, just mainly those that are on call for any purpose, like head principals and maintenance and myself.
Okay, good. Other questions, comments about the policies we reviewed?
I just had a question on 3215. It's the board inspection and acceptance policy. How is the board member responsible for that activity chosen? So we build new facilities. Is it something we just vote on?
So, so when we go through new construction, and I think Mr. Markham might speak to this, we work in conjunction with the county on this. Not 100% sure about the process as far as selecting the architect. If those are, if we present the project and then architects bid on doing the engineering work, because construction project, you're going to have engineering work, then you're going to have the general construction work two separately. I know that we did some process of going through a bidding process for the construction. How do we do that on when we're doing new facilities, say the engineering front end work?
So under state law, as long as you have an existing relationship with an architect or engineer or somebody that offers that type of professional service, you can just extend that relationship to the next project. So if we're working, for example, with Upland on something, and we have in the past, then we'll be able to just utilize them for any additional project. In order to choose a different architect or engineer, we'd have to go through a request for qualifications process or something like that. And we've done that on some projects before. We've gone through a process like that and chosen an architectural firm, and some other projects we've used one that we've got an existing relationship with.
Okay, great answer. You answered a question that I don't think you asked regarding policy. Typically, and you speak to this on accepting a new facility, we go through the contractor, there'll be a contract on that's laid out on the beginning of the bid process, and you go through and they'll have a punch list that ultimately, when all those conditions are met within a certain percentage, I'm not sure if it's 95% or some negotiated percentage there, at that point in time, when that punch list is complete, that would come to the board. If all conditions of the contract are met, then we would vote on acceptance. Is that close?
Yes, and then the board will sign off when they issue payment, as far as the final payment, since we transfer out of contingency and end the project. That's the board's confirmation of that project as well. But it comes at a recommendation of the architect who we've hired that the project has come to completion.
And with every payment that we make on a project, we withhold 5% and put it in an escrow account as contingent or retainage on the project, and then that's not released until everything's finished at the end.
So, yeah, there's a process that go through that to make sure that, when the work's done, it's done to expectations. Good question. Any other questions on policy?
I had a question about one of my sections.
Yes, ma'am.
Emergency preparedness plan.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's 3.202. So the shall statement actually has to do with the principal. So it says, the principal shall regularly check the quantity, locations, and conditions of fire extinguishers and shall give all school personnel instructions on how to properly use the fire extinguisher. Where I work, we have a service that goes around and checks all the fire extinguishers. So do the principals actually check all that and give instruction?
So I would think, I thought about that. We do have a service that makes sure that they're all up to date. We do have custodians that go and check those and make sure that they're still showing green even after they've been checked. There's a list for that. As far as training folks, when I know the elementary schools, when the fire department comes and they train, they show the students and they show them how fire extinguisher works, so we kind of consider that as training. But I have to look and see how we're doing that at middle school and high school, because I haven't seen the fire trucks there for any good reason in a long time. So
That's a good thing.
So we need to follow up on that, make sure that everyone's trained on that. There was a time when I was here at Northfield, I put fire extinguishers in every room as a safety measure, because you couldn't put a weapon in a room for obvious reasons. But fire extinguishers, they will take your breath away. They're a smoke screen. And when it's an eye irritant, and it can be used as a weapon if needed. So, and no one objected to you putting extra fire extinguishers in your school. So that may be something that we want to look at. I mean, if there's a little bit of a cost, but even if you just had the $20 ones from Sam's Club, you know, that it was an inexpensive way to provide an extra safety measure as well. So,
Ms. Officer, if I think I understand where you're going with this, the way the policy reads, it says the principal will do that. The principal shall be the one doing the instructions. Maybe that's maybe that's something that if you want to make a recommendation of how that language could be changed, you could present that at our next meeting and we could read it. That might be a revision that we want to make on that policy, because I think that's an excellent point on just, some of the language and clarity. Not saying that it's not being done, but, you just like to.
Or designee.
Principal or designee, or principal shall be responsible to ensure that these things are being taken place, or have taken place.
I've made a note of that. That's a good call.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one under the same plan, again, for me, just as a new member, remote learning drill. That's something I'm not familiar with. And I know that is probably something that came out of COVID. But with the weather being out there some days, remote learning is something we actually definitely do. I just don't know how that drill is conducted.
Ms. Russ, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. So the remote learning drill is all that they're required to do is make sure that the students know if they go home and take a device, how they would log into it. So the process is the teacher gives them all a Chromebook, they show them how to log in, and then they make sure that they know how to get to their assignments. And that's considered the remote learning drills.
Thank you.
So, question on that. What's the grade that starts at?
Well, really, any
Kindergarten?
grade could take, they could take. We have enough devices that everybody could take a device and learn.
So we can't depend on a kindergartner remembering how to log in.
They also have, well, so when COVID happened, they give a sheet on how to log in, and they use QR codes. It's not, they're not having, for K-5 is not having to remember a password or a username. It scans a card, it logs them in. And typically these online programs that they're using, they're already using in the classroom now. So it's repetition. It's not like they're gonna go home and do something brand new.
Okay.
Also, in reality, from the folks that have had to use virtual days, usually K2 is a paper packet, and that has gone over. I haven't heard that the State Department has objected to that. As long as the students were getting learning, that was better than fighting the technical aspects of parents that didn't have internet that were fighting connectivity issues. And so, the reality, in practice, that's the way that reads. In reality, the younger ones are probably going to get a paper packet.
Okay.
And,
Any other policies you want to need to discuss?
Me, I got a
I've
couple.
got two right here. Okay.
Have you still got another
No.
one? Oh,
Sorry.
Okay, no.
You go ahead.
Okay, the commercial advertising on the school buses, are we full?
No, I believe we have some space from others. That's a revenue sharing program, and that money goes to the what we call minor sports or non-revenue generating sports, and it's been very successful. Coach Crane oversees that program. Currently, I think it's $500 per sign per year, and that's been very successful in helping share. Spread the wealth for those programs, and I know soccer was beneficial, got help with their uniforms this year, but then next year it might be baseball, and then it might be tennis the next year, so it's been a good program.
So how do we advertise that it's out there?
We probably need to put things out on our website and Facebook and things like that. Coach Crane is just kind of, what we've done normally is when we've needed it, and say tennis, we'll use soccer as an example. If soccer has not sold any signs and soccer's asking for money, then we would ask the soccer team, well, then you as a group need to go out and sell a couple signs. And we've kind of done it within the programs themselves so that they had some ownership in it, and then they reap the benefits.
Okay. All right, so my other one, real quick, and if we need to move this to maintenance, we can.
Okay.
Woodland Park. We all know I've got a pre-K student at Woodland Park. That is horrible getting your student in there because So you either pull in and you park on one side because you're not supposed to park on this side. So if you park right here, there's only limited space, or people park in front of the sidewalks where the awnings are, which that's very aggravating when it's muddy. Then the students walk through the mud. Or you have to park over here in this little parking lot. Then you have to walk through the mud if it's rained to go across where parents are coming up to drop their children off. And there are no walkways, and people should know, but believe it or not, I about got hit the other day. So I just feel like something needs to be done in that area. I feel like it's something to look at, and of course that was 3.2. So that was a perfect time for me to bring that up.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think a lot of our schools were built, which that one was built in 1980. You know, times are just different now. Nobody rides a school bus.
Right.
And so we have difficulty getting the school buses in. We actually bring the school buses in off a winding lane, and they come in against the flow of traffic that's
Yes.
exiting. But and we put signs up to say, watch for the big yellow buses. But that's a better plan than what I was seeing, which was buses passing up a hill, around a curve on a double yellow line
Yes.
to bypass all the people waiting in line so they could get up here. You know, it's just not a good situation. We can see if we can, I know they've moved at different times, but with that side pickup entrance over there, and you know, we can look at what can be done there. But it's just a tough situation. It's a small parking area.
Well, I know it's actually the no parking's actually worn off over here on this side as you're coming in, and so people park right here. So
we can
you have
definitely do some things with
one
paving
lane.
and lining and things like
right.
that.
But
it's-
and then I also thought, like you said, over there on the side, if you know, there's a few little steps. If we could just put some more steps, more parents could park over there instead of walking through the mud or
Sure.
something when
We
it
can definitely
rains.
do
Actually
things
have
with
steps
sidewalks
to.
and
yeah.
paving and lining and yes, absolutely.
That was just an idea.
I made a note of that.
Thank you.
Good idea. All right, that got your two?
I'm done. Yes.
Second.
Okay, so I first have a question on 3203, and it's kind of like what Miss Officer had, where the shall statement is for the principal, and it says that the principal shall develop a crisis management plan for use in times of crisis. But I guess I was more or less wondering, is that presented to the board or to you so that you know that the school has a crisis plan in action that like meets all the requirements that it needs to, and that everybody, like it says, that it has to have a crisis team and everybody's aware of what the plan is? Like, how do we know that that's being reviewed?
So that is happening in monthly. We have safety meetings, we have what we call CERT meetings, and there are different meetings in which administrators come, and sometimes it's more the building teams, the CERT teams within each school. Those do exist. They exist with the guidance and the help of our safety supervisor, Mr. Brian Haley, oversees that all schools have those and have them in place. We don't publicize those and bring them to the
Right,
board
yeah.
for safety, for security reasons.
Okay.
Those are things that exist in some of our procedures, but they most certainly do exist. Each school has one. They have been, I said, orchestrated with the supervisor to make sure that they have them. So it hasn't been that Cassville's come up with their own. We've helped them at a district level, say, and then say, here's a model, and then we kind of built some specifics to Cassville into their plan as far as
Okay.
their building and things. But they certainly do exist, and we go over those, and we practice tabletop exercises monthly based on those plans of what would you do at your school if this happened.
Okay. And then in a lot of the policies, it'll say, like, in the top left corner, review annually in October. Does that mean the policy's reviewed annually? And then I guess that's what it means, because you answered my question that the crisis management plan is reviewed monthly.
So
But is that referring to the policy or to the plan?
when it says reviewed, this is the review. So
Okay.
it just, when the board looks at it annually, that's what it means, it to be reviewed. And if they had a question, this is the type of setting in which those questions would be answered. So.
Okay. Thank you. And
Just,
then,
I'm
sorry, no,
Can
go
I-
ahead.
Before you go off that, and I appreciate the fact that your diligence in looking at policy. Just one thing here when you're reading this, in times of crisis, including, it says suicides, shootings, and deaths of student or faculty member, and is one type of crisis. Then you have another type of crisis that's more safety related, and how you do that is crisis in when something happens to a student. Maybe it's not on campus, off campus, outside. That's a crisis too for students. That's probably separate apart from safety crises. Principals, did they just, is there anything formal about that, or do they just come together and manage the situation as it arises, as far as providing counseling or for students that may make adults available for students in those times?
Yes, there are protocols for that, as far as if there's a death or a suicide, and how they handle it, who you call, who you have set up for counseling, and that's been shared with principals. So in the event, an unfortunate event that happens, then our guidance teams lead that charge, and they have protocols and steps that they follow.
That's great. That's good. Good to hear. Sorry.
No, you're fine. And then my other questions are kind of the same, but it's on 3212 and then 3.4. But I guess I was just wondering that, like, in 3212, it's about district water testing, and then the other one was about, like, bus reports and, like, maintenance and stuff like that. But if a parent or one of us was to ask, can I see the results for the last district water testing, is that something we provide to them?
We could provide that, yes.
And then with the bus driver thing too, like, you review and make sure everything is up and running and right, and they have the right signage and stuff like that. But if I was a parent and I was to ask you, is this bus like this, would you present the report?
Yeah,
to
the
them?
appropriate way to do that is just to do a public records request, and then it gives us time to get those records together, because I
Okay.
obviously don't have them with me right now. So we can
Right.
get those things, and I would love for someone to request the records on our maintenance garage, because we are the only district that I know in the state of Tennessee that's had, I think, 6 years in a row that we've had a score of 100, perfect score from the Tennessee Highway Patrol on our bus inspections, meaning that our fleet's ready to roll and safe for student transportation. So, but the appropriate way, there's a policy for that as
Okay.
well, where I believe it's in section 1, and how you request public records, and
Okay.
then I would follow through to make sure, and we have 7 days to respond to that and to tell them how quickly we can get those records to them.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on policy? All right, good discussion. Thank you. Thank you for being available to answer those questions. Maintenance report?
I'm so sorry. I don't have a maintenance report from Mr. Alley, because we were out last week, and I think he was out of the office, but all schools are functioning well right now. But I did want to circle back to the out-of-school time grant that we talked about. Mr. Ward, I sent him a question. He responded to me. He refreshed my memory. A lot of that was used for field trips, like STEM field trips. A lot of it goes to the STEM program. They've bought a lot of things like 3D printers and consumables for that program. The grant runs through next year, so we will get $75,000 one more time going into next year.
Okay.
And it's for a lot of those opportunities. Like I said, it's STEM, our STEM program, and in cybersecurity, and opportunities to take field trips to some post-secondary options. So
Perfect.
just wanted to
Thank you
answer.
very much.
Mhm.
Is there anything you want to speak to regarding proposed dual edition plans? You had a floor plan, and as well as elevation drawings that were included in your packet, so you can see what's going on in that program, and you've had some updates on that in your weekly emails. So do you want to speak to that, kind of where we're at with that?
Sure. Just over the years, we've been looking at Doyle, and Doyle's functioning well, but Doyle runs a few more students than this school does. And I think back when this school was built, we thought this was going to be the big flux of folks in this area. For whatever reason, Doyle has peaked in enrollment a little bit, so they just don't have a lot of space for storage, and could use some more classroom space. So it's been the talk for several years to maybe look at a few classrooms on the front of that building. So we've had our agreement with Upland Architects, Upland Design Group, to look at that. A very simple addition to that school. It says if you look at the front of the school, we're proposing to add 7 classrooms to the front, so the actual facade wouldn't look a whole lot different than it does right now. It's just you're going to bring it forward. What you're looking at the front of the school right now, if you're standing on the playground, is an actual hallway that leads to some rooms on the other side. So we would just be adding classrooms on this side of that hallway. And the rest of the facade would actually look very similar to what it does right now.
I got to go down and visit today down at Doyle, and Ms. Johnson was showing me where everything was going to be. And one of the things that really intrigued me was the big patio, the big covered patio in between where the flagpole is now, and then the connection going out into that is going to be a nice little space there.
So we want to utilize that space, but we understand they're already a little bit cramped in the front as far as playground space. We don't want to encroach on that too much, but the plan would be to also pave a walking trail in the front, trying to utilize the existing pavement area that the city technically owns over there. We're going to talk to the city of Doyle about that because we're going to take up a little of the pavement spot to put the classrooms in. But I feel this is a very simple addition. It's one of the simplest projects that we've done. There's not a lot of water involved other than sprinkler system. Did we have to put sprinkler in? I think we do. I don't know if we answered that or not because the other side of the hallway is not
You
sprinkled.
should.
It's the other side's not sprinkled, so I don't know if we'll
You
have
should have to, I would think.
Okay. Well, yeah. Other than that, there shouldn't be any water involved. There's no kitchens, bathrooms, or anything like that. It's just a simple block, classrooms. And so, I think the biggest we settled on HVAC, how we wanted to do that. We estimate that project will be less than $2 million. The plan to propose to the board would that it would come from our savings, which is very healthy. So it wouldn't be anything that we would need to bond or take and increase any taxes to do. But it would meet their needs for quite some time and be able to continue program, well into the future at Doyle.
Now, we're not bringing that up for discussion. That's just
Just informational purposes.
Just informational purposes for you. So there'll be more to come on that. But that information wasn't.
I would say that I would agree with Ms. Johnson and that road, the main highway, the McMinnville Highway. A lot of traffic has gone off of that highway, but that curve that's right there and not pushing the playground out any further than it has to be would be a great thing to keep the playground as close to the school as you can, because there's still idiots out there that like to drive fast and take that curve and come over the hill into that playground. So God forbid that ever happen, but just keep our kids as close to the building as we can. So I like the idea of the walking track. I think that's a added plus for those kids that just want to get out and move and walk. So I think it'll be a good addition down there.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Maintenance?
No, but we do have a gentleman here from the fire department that might want to speak after while, so we may want for him to be able to speak. We may want to move maintenance.
To public comment.
Yes.
Well,
So can he speak because it's up here? Okay.
Are you asking to do it now, or are you talking about asking to do it in public comment?
In public comment, but I just want to make sure that he can speak because.
Yeah, just sign
Okay.
the form, and we'll recognize you when we get to that portion of our agenda.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so we had in our packet school report that looks like everybody's gearing up for the testing, the testing period that's coming up. One thing that I think plan to bring up in the regular meeting stood out to me that we have back-to-back winners of the Quest Bridge program. Is two back-to-back years we've had a winner of the Quest Bridge program or award that consists of getting a full ride to Vanderbilt. That was, if I'm not mistaken, Shane Barnes.
Yes,
And-
I'm actually I don't mean to interrupt. I'm actually really good friends with both of those people. And the first one was last year. His name was James Siebers. It's for kids who are lower income, and they go through this extensive program where they have, it's not just a simple scholarship. It takes a long time, and you get to choose out of the top schools, and in a list of hey, I like this one, and you rank them.
Mhm.
And if you get accepted into one of them, your highest ranking one you get accepted to, you have to go to. Like it's binding, but you get
Mhm.
full ride. You
Oh,
get to
wow.
go. And James Siebers was best friends with Shane Barnes.
Oh, that's
So he
great.
showed him how to do it. So now he did it this year. So
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need a
and
friend like
everybody-
that. I need a friend like that.
I need a friend
well,
like
Shane
that.
Shane is trying to tell people about it.
Oh,
Anybody
that's
who would
That's
listen.
great.
that's fantastic.
That is the QuestBridge program.
Yes, QuestBridge program. That's great. And then I also noticed that Maddie Rust and Lucas Blackman, Blakeman, excuse me, Blakeman received recipients of the UT Distinguished Tennessean Award. So that's good. So that was the thing that stood out to me in the school report, and plan on mentioning then in the closing comments.
Yeah, they got full ride to UT.
That's great. I love it when see our high school kids making money. Our educational institutions. All right. So that school report. Any comments, questions on the school report? Okay.
I'm sure Miss Rust is appreciative of that
Yes.
scholarship to UT as well.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So next, budget report, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And always thanks to Mr. Markham and his staff for the great work that they do. And board members, if you didn't look at the full report that he provided this time, it's a lot more extensive. The other report was great, but this is phenomenal.
I was wondering where those
Really,
come from.
really
Yeah.
breaks it down in a different light, so for me especially, to be able to understand more how the budget pieces work. But I've got several paragraphs I want to read here, but I'll go fairly quickly. The month of February typically represents the county's largest cash positive month, as current property taxes are due by the end of the month. As of the end of February, the county had collected 95.57% of the budgeted 2024 property taxes and anticipate being on target for 100% by June 30th. Local option sales tax, while within the budgetary range, did not come in as high for the month of February. These funds received from the state of Tennessee during February represent sales made by consumers in the month of December. Collections in 2024 for all situses fell about 100,000 short of the collections for the same period the last year. Following Christmas, we normally see a significant decline for January sales, and hopefully that decline will not be as significant this year, compensating for the lower December 24 collection numbers. The general purpose school fund is performing very well this year. Expenditures are up as compared to the previous year, but so are revenues, which kind of makes it a wash. The TISA receipts for the year are up $190,984 compared to the same period in fiscal '24. It's important to note that the state's TISA funding accounts for roughly 75% of the general purpose school fund budgeted revenues. Capital outlay expenditures in the fund are down approximately $685,000 for the same period last year. This is due primarily to the high school softball facility, which was funded in the '24 budget capital outlay category. Overall, most major expenditure categories are hovering in the 50 to 60% range of budgeted expenditures and have been made or encumbered. It's roughly 10% behind budgeted expectation, which is keeping the fund in a positive financial position. The school federal projects fund is showing a significant decrease in expenditures as compared to the prior year. This is due to the complete liquidation of the ESSER III funds, which in part funded the Bondycroft Elementary School addition. This stream will continue through the remainder of the fiscal years as all of those funds have been extinguished. One more big paragraph here. The central cafeteria fund appears to be trending well, but we're carefully evaluating expenditures of the fund and considering the significant increases in cost experienced over the last few years. Food prices specifically have made a significant impact on the potential for a positive bottom line total for the fund for the fiscal year end. The school year has brought up updated community eligibility program percentages, which we anticipate will help offset some of the increased cost. Overall, this is buried the lead. Overall, the school system remains in a very healthy financial position moving into fiscal year 26 budget process.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Smith regarding the budget report? All right, then Ms. Douglas, TLN report.
Okay, I have about 8 different items of interest that I thought I would share with you all, and you've probably already seen a little bit about them. These are different things that are coming down through. They are not into law yet, but things that I thought were very interesting. One of them is the governing body to provide the public with opportunity to comment at meetings. It requires that a government body to reserve a period of public comment on any matter relevant to the subject under consideration, and that would include our board meetings. Display of historical documents in schools in prominent locations in each school building. Actually, this is sponsored by Senator Paul Bailey, and it authorizes local boards of education and governing bodies to display the 10 Commandments, Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, Tennessee Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. Election of school board members. This would affect us, of course, but beginning in 2028, it would require that all board members to be elected at the same election, at the same time. Establishes 2-year terms for members elected in the first election occurring on or after January 1st, 2026, in order to align all board members' terms.
Can I speak to that right
Yes.
there real quick?
Yes.
So TSBA is opposed to that because of the simple fact that you would have, possibly could have at every time, a brand new board all the time. And that would be detrimental to our schools, honestly, because you need the overflow, you need the overlap. And that's why TSBA is opposed to that, and they're lobbying against that. So please be aware that it could be detrimental to every school system across the state if we're all elected at the same time.
That's
You know, so
Because we need the veteran ones. Like I'm a new one. You know, all
Yeah,
of us
we
new
do.
ones, we need, because we have questions. Well, if we're all new, well, that would be quite serious, in my opinion. Another one is to reduce the amount of state mandated assessments for students in grades 3 through 12. Prohibiting food or beverage items that contain red 40 to be sold or provided to students on school property. Removal of all end-of-course assessment requirements for students in grades 9 through 12.
Whoa.
Replace it with ACT.
Yeah, it would
replace
be-
it with ACT.
Right, it would be
I've been
replaced.
preaching that for
Yeah,
8
you've
years.
been asking for that a long time. I think I've worded this correctly. I feel like I have. It's a substitution of course credits for a full high school diploma. Students completing a CTE program of study can substitute up to 4 CTE course credits in place of the chemistry, computer science, world language, and algebra 2 credits that are now required. Is that worded correctly? But we don't offer algebra 2.
Yeah, we integrated.
Integrated, okay. And then suspension or expulsion of students prohibits suspending or expelling students in grades pre-K through 2 unless the student's behavior endangers the safety of others, in which the student can be suspended for no more than 3 days. So they're looking at that as well. And there's a number of others that are going through, and you hear them even on the news often what's going through. But those are some that got my attention.
Those are some really good ones. I appreciate you bringing that up. Any questions from Ms. Douglas on the TLN report?
Just one quick
Okay.
repeat, if you will. So the EOCs would go away for 9 through 12 and
Yes.
replace with ACT?
ACT suite, yeah. I don't know how
They can,
that's really gonna happen or not.
Right.
There'd be certainly a transition because we currently wouldn't have, like, they, back when we first started talking about it, they had Plan and Explore that we were doing and even in 8th grade, and so, which we're not anymore. So there would be a lot of conversation about, this would be a years in the making kind of thing to try and transition out. But the argument all along has been that no college, especially Vanderbilt, cares what your high school exit exam is. They want to know what your college entrance exam is. And so we're all, by law, forced to take that, so why don't we just utilize that instead of adding another test that no one in the world cares about?
Yeah, that's probably where is a good example of where decisions are best left at the local level, not at the state level. Something like that. Okay. All right, then we'll move on in our agenda and, on our consent agenda items. You were given a monthly threat assessment report and also personnel reports. Any questions regarding those two reports? Did have a couple of items that were still open on the threat assessment, but there were 4 and 2 were closed. Are they all closed?
I don't believe they're all closed, but they're nothing that's serious.
Nothing serious, but open. Will be working
Still under
towards closing.
consideration.
Yeah. Any questions on that or personnel? Okay, then have been requested to approve the field trip for the White County High School archery team that's going to compete in the National Archery Tournament in Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky. That will be coming up in May.
Yes, May 8th.
In
through
May
10th.
May 8th, so that has been requested, our approval for that. Just given constraint on time, I'm going to ask that we move that discussion on snow days for support staff down to new business. Give us a little bit more time to talk about that. Don't feel pressured. So we'll move item K down to item 12B, and we can address that then. But those would be making up our consent agenda items for tonight. So unless there's any opposition to that, those what we will approve under consent. But I'll give you the opportunity before we approve our agenda to pull any others out if you feel need. Okay. So with that being said, we'll adjourn our work session until and then have our regular board meeting start here in about 8 minutes.
You do the pledge.
I love it when it's like that.
Katie Young is
I'm spread out.
Get it.
I'd like to come to
Could have your attention. I'd like to call the White County Board of Education meeting for Thursday, March 20th, 2025 to order. If you would, please rise, and special guest Caden Young, top scorer for the White County Middle School Archery State Championship team, is going to lead us in the pledge. Caden?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Kate. So, again, I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting tonight. Appreciate you coming out and joining us as we discuss the business of the district for this month of March. Ms. Peak and all those staff here at Northfield, appreciate you hosting us and giving us the opportunity to get out in the district and see the facilities. Tennessee Code Annotate and Board Policy 1400 states that every meeting of the board is open to the public except where law allows a closed session. The agenda for the board meetings are posted on the district's website at www.whitecoastschools.net at least 3 days prior to each meeting. State statute requires that each meeting agenda include an item reserved for public comment. A sign-up sheet is made available prior to the beginning of the regular meeting. Individuals who have signed up prior to the start of the meeting to speak will be recognized in the order listed on the sign-up sheet at the point in the agenda designated for public comment. Board meetings are streamed with the help of Warrior Media for live or recorded viewing. Links are provided on the district's website. Attending and or speaking during tonight's meeting implies consent for comments and appearances to be used in that manner. So, with that, I'd like to stop here at this moment, pause, and we have this is a special evening for us as board members because we're going to get to recognize the White County Middle School archery team who achieved recognition of state champions of the tournament this past week. To give you just a little information on what this was, NASP is the National Archery National Archery in the Schools program, and it consists of both static or 2D tournament shooting, the typical target shooting, and also 3D, where the archers will have the opportunity to shoot against 3D targets, and the scoring is a little bit more complex in that, and obviously they have more opportunities to take higher degrees of difficult shots, and so it would be like shooting against some of the animals that you see, the 3D animals out maybe in somebody's yards practicing for archery. But that's my understanding. That's the championship that the team won, and so we're here, have them here tonight, and like to recognize them. Brian and Mickey Steele, coaches of the middle school team, and they're here tonight. So I'd like to recognize them if they'd like to say anything about the team and the accomplishments.
I've never known Mickey not to have something to
I was gonna
say.
say.
Well, I called you Nick.
Actually, my daughter Natalie and my husband Brian. I have high school.
Gotcha. Well, I would love for Natalie to speak and Brian and share. I want you to tell us
What'd you want me to say?
how fantastic your team is and what a great job they did.
Well, I'm so very proud of them. Can I read what I put in the news article? Would that work?
That would be great.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Y'all have to bear with me. So the White County Archery Program continues to build on its legacy of excellence, achieving remarkable success this season thanks to its athletes' dedication and the community's unwavering support. And I'll skip over my stuff. In 2013, we expanded 3D archery after a few students pursued it individually. Thanks to our incredible sponsors, we were able to secure a full set of targets to launch the high school team. This year, I was determined to grow the program further by introducing a middle school 3D team. These young archers trained relentlessly, practicing hours each week, and their dedication has paid off. They won the state championship their very first season. We had two boys, Caden Young and Drake Goodwin, placed in the top 10 3D of middle school male individuals, which I think was like 200, something like that. The Bullseye team also placed 5th out of 30 teams from the state. From the start of the season, both teams were ambitious. Both teams set ambitious goals for their scores. However, as tournaments began, they continuously surpassed those benchmarks, requiring us to set new goals week after week. Their commitment led to an extraordinary achievement, winning nearly every local tournament they competed in. As the season continues, our journey is far from over. The team will hopefully travel to Louisville, Kentucky for nationals in May, hoping to qualify for the World Championships in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina this June.
Awesome.
We're very, very, very proud of them.
Absolutely. Thank you for representing the district well in the state competition, and we hope that continues on to the nationals. And you said it was world, so that's great. I'd just like to recognize the archers as who were listed on the team: Caden Young, Drake Goodwin, Sammy Benson, J.C. Goodwin, Gina McCoy, Cannon Dildine, Deegan Sims, Silas Rust, Gavin Rutherford, Caleb Moore, Lanny Roberts, Luke Benson, Eli Rice, and Addison Henry. Did I leave anyone out? Okay, that's so. Very much appreciate you for being here tonight. I'd like to recognize you and just thank you for all the hard work you put in to have Sparta White County being recognized on the state level. So one more time, I have to hand these out. So you are more than welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but if you have engagements you need to attend to, we certainly understand if you need to excuse yourself at any point of the meeting. But at this time, we'll continue through our agenda. This next item is disclosure of conflicts. So if anyone on the board has a conflict that needs to be disclosed tonight regarding anything on our agenda, please let it be known now at this time.
Mr. Chairman, as I do each and every meeting, I will let you know that my wife is an employee of the school system, and nothing on the agenda tonight has any conflict with her being an employee here. Just want to make it known that all the things that you hear from me tonight are made in the best interest and the best decisions for White County Schools.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Mr. Chairman, my spouse is an employee of the district, but there's nothing that conflicts tonight, and all the opinions are mine and mine alone.
All right, thank you, Ms. Officer.
Much like my two esteemed board members, my wife also works with the White County School System, but my thoughts, opinions, and comments will be mine and mine alone.
All right, thank you. So, Ms. Sims, please let the minutes reflect that Mr. McDonald, Ms. Officer, and Mr. Smith all indicate they have spouses that work for our district, but nothing on tonight's agenda would constitute a conflict as defined. So, next item is approval for the agenda for this meeting. Board members, it was posted. Our agenda was posted with a couple additions or modifications from what you may have seen previously. In new business, added two topics. One, healthier school challenge that was something that Mr. Kennard asked us to consider. And then also, as we moved out of our consent, discussion on snow days for pay for support staff. So those are the only two changes that have been made on the agenda since it was originally published. So this time I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda for this meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McDonald. Have a second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Fowler. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is our consent agenda. So tonight in work session, we reviewed the minutes that were held from our meeting in February. Went over budget and transfers, had a couple of budget amendments that were discussed that are being proposed, but no new monies or any monies significantly affecting the budget. Had policy, have policy 5106 and 5118. Those will be approved for second reading tonight in our consent agenda. We also had discussed some plans for expansion at Dole, reviewed their school report, budget report. District is financially in good shape. TLN report, monthly threat assessment report, personnel reports, and then a field trip request by the high school archery team, go to Louisville, Kentucky for nationals in May. So those are items on our consent. Nothing was pulled out, was identified as something that needed to be pulled out. So all board members in consensus of these items. So this time we'll solidify that vote. All in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we like to recognize Ms. Beth Peak, principal here at Northfield, for a school presentation. So, Ms. Peak.
Welcome to Northfield. Are we ready to recognize our special folks?
Absolutely.
Tonight, I have 3 people that I would like to come forward. I would like Reed Langley to come, Tegan Phillips to come forward, and Miss Keisha Winnett to come forward. No, you're great. I'll scoot over. These 3 people are representing Northfield as our health heroes. And so I just want to tell you why that they are heroes at our school. It's absolutely true that Reed and Tegan are health heroes. Managing diabetes daily requires immense discipline, knowledge, and courage. Here's why they deserve this recognition. They are vigilant about monitoring their blood sugar. They are great carbohydrate counters. They can administer insulin appropriately, and they are emotionally resilient. Living with diabetes can be emotionally challenging, and they demonstrate resilience in managing the day-to-day demands of this condition. Reed and Tegan's dedication to managing their diabetes is a testament to their strength and determination. They are truly health heroes. And I'll have to tell you, they have taught me a lot about this, and so I can do it, can I, Reed? No. It's like, and our third person that we want to honor is Miss Keisha Winnett. She's our school nurse, and she is a pro of taking care of us well at Northfield. She spends her day passing out ice packs, Band-Aids, and lots of hugs. Keisha is knowledgeable and always willing to help out in all situations. Northfield is proud to honor Keisha Winnett as one of our health heroes. Come here, Tegan, for a minute. Come here, Ray.
We're going to get a photo.
Good.
Parents, please, if you want to get in better position, take those pictures, feel free.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I was told by his mom.
Take your time.
Good job.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here, right up in.
She's over behind, on Miss Fresh. That's how Miss Fresh. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Peak. We appreciate that, and congratulations to our health heroes here from Northfield. So next we'll go to our district updates. Mr. Drumbarger, if you give us an update on the schools.
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board members, there's personnel report in your folders. You can see the transactions for the month. We are currently interviewing teaching candidates for next year. That happens earlier and earlier every year. We do not have many openings, but we're seeking the best teachers available to fill our known vacancies at this time. Legislatively, I continue to serve on the TOS Legislative Committee and share information about the ongoings of the General Assembly as it pertains to education. Some of the current bills of interest, as Ms. Douglas mentioned, involve student-athlete transfers, reduced assessments for grades 3 through 12, school board elections, and most importantly, the prohibition against red dye number 40. So, down with Skittles. Scope. Mr. Keith Brown, White County High School social studies teacher, who was joined by school board member Ms. Lisa Officer. To chaperone the high school students, Mr. James Frady and our very own Ms. Joy McGill at the recent Student Collaboration on Policies in Education, aka SCOPE. TSBA President and District 5 School Board member Mr. Jason McDonald was also in attendance. At this time, I would like to open the floor to them to share briefly their experience and what they got to see and enjoy as part of SCOPE. So who would ever like to
I'm
speak?
not real happy with her.
Oh, yeah.
So her
Okay,
group,
so moving along.
her group beat my group in debate. So
Yeah, we had the
mine
opposite
and Miss
sides of the
Officer's
debate.
debate.
Yeah, me and James actually got put in the same team, which never happens. It was great. So we all collaborated, and we came up with ideas. It just so happens that our group had the opposite of what they had, and we won. So, just saying.
Well, kind of. They won by cheating.
That's not cheating.
Oh, you would say that.
They
Okay.
went in and took a picture of the whiteboard of all
And they had
talking
spies
points.
come into ours, so.
Well, that sounds
You know,
rather
you'd
creative.
expect
on
it to
their
go
part.
that way.
I will
That's
say
how
it was
Washington works.
I will say it was a very eye-opening experience for me, being my first time. I know Miss McGill went last year, so she was a pro at it. But just the simple fact of the best, the smartest kids that are, I mean, we had all seniors. Is what Miss Officer and I both had, and those kids are smart. They're, some of hers had, perfect scores on the ACD, and some of them were at 34s, and it was just very high, ambitious goals. One wanting to be, what did I tell you? The one that I had, that she wants to be a corporate lawyer. Yeah, she's going to Cornell to be a corporate lawyer. So it blew my mind. Here I am, nowhere qualified to be talking to these kids, but very, very eye-opening experience. I would recommend anybody go and volunteer for that.
I had 21 students from across the state of Tennessee. And so we did a mock school board meeting and then these lively debates, is what we're going to call that. They prepared for that and they were excellent. I had the FFA president for the state of Tennessee in my group, and they were all very, very good as far as they were engaged, and they are going to be good leaders for our state one day.
Oh, that's great.
Very good. Well, thank you all for going and representing our school well, and thank you to Mr. Brown for his leadership each year, and his willingness to go, and always representing, making us look great at SCOPE. As far as academics go, our students and staff return from spring break this week and are in the final push towards the testing season. There are a little over, hard to believe, only 8 weeks left in the school year. I am proud to announce tonight that Miss Malia Johnson of Doyle Elementary has been named the White County Principal of the Year, and Miss Farrah Griffith has been named our Supervisor of the Year. So congratulations, Ms. Griffith. Congratulations to these ladies and their efforts. They'll both move forward to the regional competition level. Today, also, as far as academics are concerned, President Trump signed an executive order to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education while keeping some of the essential functions of that agency. So we'll have to see where that goes and what effects it'll have. We think initially, the initial thoughts that the money will still flow to the states, but we'll see how that happens without the bureaucracy involved. As far as safety is concerned, Mr. Haley, our safety supervisor, participated in a state-level safety training today in Nashville, along with representatives from Homeland Security. We continue to work with our partners in law enforcement to help keep safety a top priority. Financially, as you heard in the financial report, we're on track fiscally. This is great news and suggests that we'll be able to continue to fund our positions and programs with confidence. We'll be having a district-wide budget meeting in early April. As we schedule these meetings, we will be sharing that with school board members. Athletically, the WCHS girls basketball team made an appearance in the state tournament this past week and made our district very proud with an incredible season. And also, as we heard earlier, the middle school archery team is the 3D state champion. We're very proud of the coaches and the archers for their great accomplishment. White County takes great pride in our athletic programs and pursues excellence in all endeavors. Building projects, we recently met with the architects and engineers on the Doyle Elementary proposed classroom addition. This addition would address the need for classroom space at the school without creating ongoing costs in the future. We are also preparing for a renovation of the science lab at the high school this summer. Congratulations to Mr. Drombarger, who for the first time in recent memory successfully confirmed hotel reservations for the entire school board at Park Vista for the summer law conference in July.
All right.
I've asked Miss Sally to pull a PO for my trophy, and that's a joke. We're not spending money on that. But we are reserved for the Park Vista this summer, and look forward to that legal conference with you all. At this point, this does end complete the director's report. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have about the district.
All right, any questions for our director on this district report? So thank you for getting us at the Host Hotel for that event, and the advice is get there early, get your parking spot, and don't leave.
And don't leave food in your car.
And don't
That's
leave
right.
don't leave food in your car either. So great. So next we'll move on to our next item, and a discussion on policy 1701 district planning. When I was talking to Mr. Stromberger about this district planning and what that means, and for new board members and even us, some of those incumbent board members, it's good for us to understand the two different types of planning that's going on. A district academic plan that is largely based on satisfying state requirements and state objectives. There's also capital outlay plan, 5-year plan that we work on. So thought it would be good and just for us to allow him to speak to that. That information was provided to you in your packet, but thought we would speak to that and give board members the opportunity and the public opportunity to ask questions. Public opportunity to get an update on the plans going on in the district. So, Mr. Stromberger.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. These plans are actually part of the review process of your policy manual. And at this time of year, it's the time that the board would review the district plans. So what I've presented to you are, as the chairman stated, the capital outlay improvements plan for our physical buildings and facilities, and then also our annual district plan, our academic plan that we work on in conjunction with the state of Tennessee, TDOE, and folks from the Corps office. So the capital improvements plan is pretty self-explanatory. It's a 5-year plan for our building and facilities needs. We've worked through quite a bit of that. That goes through, I think, fiscal year 27 right now. So there'll be time that both of these plans would be things that would be probably best discussed through the board's workshop or retreat to get it really dig into in depth. The academic plan is quite extensive. It takes really many weeks of planning and work, of strength, hard work by our curriculum team. A lot of people in the office sit in and put in on that. There's basically three goals of the academic plan. Literacy, we have a math goal, and then we have a college and career readiness goal as well. And there's many, many layers within that. This process goes back and forth several times with the State Department, verifying that they like what they see and they have everything in there. It comes back to us several times for revisions necessary before it's finally approved. So, and this happens annually. It really is such a process that it's almost by the time we finish it and get it approved, we're starting on next year's already. So just thought this was the best way to present to you how this policy is being met. by providing you the academic plan and then also the capital improvements plan, which is voted on by the school board.
Thank you. Academic plan, as you can see, it's rather lengthy. For those of you that involved in education, you may have had some exposure to this before, but it is something, as mentioned, that work in conjunction with the state. 33 pages of academic goals and objectives, and so it's good information for us to be aware of and understand how that comes together. Questions on the district academic plan or the capital outlay plan?
So just a couple of things on the outlay plan. These are, I guess, listed as top priority from 1 through whatever. Several of these have already been taken care of. So, I mean, these are from 2022, correct?
Yes.
Through 2027.
Correct.
So was looking kind of at what we got going on now. The baseball facility, the baseball field, the irrigation there, is that something that's been pushed out a little bit with, I don't know, I know that's not been taken care of yet, but is that something it's in the works? I know it says 2024 and you know, we're in 2025 now with.
Yeah, I think that got changed just a little bit there was a coaching change and there was some other needs that they had. We did considerable work at the baseball field. We painted the facility. We put a roof on the concession stand. We moved fencing on the foul lines, and some other work over there as well that the coach wanted done. And so it pushed out the irrigation idea. And there are times that sometimes things will take precedent, and then there are times maybe a grant comes through or an opportunity too good to be true. We need to go ahead and jump on that. That might push a different project forward and might push another one back. And these are our proposals. They're set up by fiscal year to put money in the budget for those things. Not that we couldn't do that right now, but that one had been pushed back a little bit.
So one other thing going on with the baseball field, I know there had been some talk and some conversation about the lighting there not being ideal. You know, I know there was some issues early before the season started. I know we got that taken care of, but I know at the softball complex we installed new lighting there. Is there a chance that there's in the budget anywhere for new lighting at the baseball field? Because it's very dark. I mean, having a child that played there, very dark in several spots on that field, and just want to, I just want to present a good light for our athletic program. You know, we've not had the best of baseball programs over the years, but looks like we might be turning around, and just want to be able to present a good park. I know it's kind of a little bit out of town, and everybody would love to be on campus, but you know, it's just not feasible. But we got a good program, a good facility, lots of good amenities over there. But just want to make sure we're investing in those kids like we do all the others.
Yeah, certainly something we can look at, and as the board, as we talk about capital improvements plan, as we go back and say, okay, we want to revise this. As you said, we've already checked off many of those things on this list. We could redo the 5-year plan now and send it out to 2030, and that could be definitely part of that conversation.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I would like to say something, and this may not be the time, but this Dole addition, I've had some phone calls about it, even though I'm not from down there, and I've thought a lot about it myself. We've been told numerous times that they're not overcrowded. I've had a lot of phone calls about the gym. I know I've already brought that up before, but I told them I would voice my opinion tonight. I feel like, nothing against Dole, Jason, because I think the World W, my grandson went down there. But that gym has an issue, and we need to fix it. And I know y'all have said before that if they got one, Bondycroft would have to get one. Bondycroft just had an uplift. And that gym is bad. There's lots of people that have to stand in it during the ball games. And I know they don't, what do they play? 6 ball games down there? Maybe 5. But to me, that's a fire hazard. If the fire marshal come in, I just don't think he'd like it. too much. And parking, that's another issue down there. And parent pickup, I feel like those things should be addressed more than adding 7 classrooms and a storage room and taking away from the existing playground, because it goes out that way. That's my opinion. I'm one person, but I told them I was going to say that tonight, because from somebody that's been down there in the parent pickup, it's really bad. It's really bad because you have to stay all the way out on Gooseneck, and sometimes the cars, they're stopped out on the Dole Highway because you can't turn on Gooseneck. And then you have to go all the way down, and then you have to turn on that, what is it, Dole College Street or Lane or something. Then you have to come all the way back up. Now, that's just my opinion. I personally feel like if they're not overcrowded, that there's some other things that could be addressed down there besides the addition of classrooms. That's mine.
Okay. Good-
Thank you
good
for
point.
listening.
You're welcome. Thanks for
And
bringing it up.
I agree that that is a very dangerous curve right there, getting in and out of that school, because I've been in and out of there a lot too. Somebody's going to have a bad wreck right there on that curve, and and just like she said, the gym is way overcrowded right now. If you add 7 more classrooms down there and you bring more students in down there, that's only going to make all these other issues worse, like the overcrowding in the gym. And I don't know if the cafeteria is big enough, or will they have to start lunch at 10 o'clock or 9:30 to get them all fed. And you know, I don't know how bad the overcrowding is, but if we could just move 2 or 3 roads to Woodland Park or something, we could probably alleviate that. And with the tariffs coming in right now, I would think the building materials would be going up. Not sure it's a good time to start a big project like that.
That's a good
And
one.
and as y'all know, I do think spending $2.5 million on Dole is a lot of money when you could probably spend $200,000 and open Central View back up, because basically it's centrally located between Cassville and Dole, and that would eliminate any overcrowding, and we have lots of road frontage.
That 200,000 is really inaccurate, but
Well,
but your point's taken, and I'm not against looking at that again. As far as looking at the gym crowdedness again, I mean, that's for elementary basketball. That's the only time that comes up, and so you know, and it is crowded. I've been down there many times myself, but as I said, it is 6 nights out of the year, and I mean, we could play basketball in another gym if that's the issue, and it wouldn't cost us any money. The road concern is the same problem we talked earlier about Woodland Park.
Yes.
You know, it's just people just don't ride the bus, and you know, for whatever reasons, and you know, you just have a lot of parents coming at the same time. And now, as far as being backed up onto the highway, you just can't do it. It's against the law to be parked out there. So you just need to not do that. And you know, we talk to our friends in law enforcement. You know, I used to have the problem as principal here at Northfield. You know, we reworked it because you couldn't be out on the highway.
Yep.
And so, you know, we just begged our parents, like, come at 3:10. Those little babies won't melt. You know, they'll be fine.
That's right.
And you can drive right up and get them. But if you want to be there right at 3, we have people that come at 1 o'clock and wait. And I don't understand. But anyway. You know, there's just things that you can do, but you know, it's difficult to you know, to manage with the parent pickup thing. We did move that. We did change that parent pickup, which takes you down I think it's Doyle Cemetery Road and back around, to make that better. But so there are things we've tried to do. Those are all good points. We'll look at it. You know, I'm open to rethinking that. The parking in the back, we've talked about that, but then there was also consideration of moving the playground to the back. But the problem back there is the septic field, so we can't just pave over that. We could provide some areas of gravel parking. We did a little bit, but there's some considerations there. So there's lots of things we can do. This is just the thought of, and if you're going to add on to Doyle and you're going to do those improvements, the initial need is space for all these RTI classes and all these pullouts and you know, that they need, that they have. They're having them in closets, and when aides are out of the room, they're moving kids in there, and so that's the extra space that they're needing. When you get to the point that we're talking about actually overcrowdedness to where the building can't function, I think you'd start with the classroom space, then you would look at maybe does the cafeteria need to grow, and then does the gym need to grow. I think you would do them in that order rather than build the gym and then the classroom space that the students would need for instruction, because those are extracurricular activities. So in my mind, that's where the classroom space would come from. Certainly open to consideration, all those things, and be glad to look at it. And the only I certainly have great respect for the Central View community, and I know we don't get into all that again, but the idea behind that is there is space there. It would take considerable amount to reopen that school, but that would also have an ongoing cost, which has always been the consideration there, is that you'd be running another school with staff and supplies that you wouldn't by just having an addition somewhere. So, but open to whatever the board's thoughts are there. This is just offering the information of where we are in this process of consideration at this point.
So, I think where a board we have more influence on would be the capital outlay plan as opposed to the district academic plan, because that's heavily tied to state requirements. But as we look forward the next couple of months and start thinking about some agenda items, things we want to do, including board retreat and how we would put that together. Maybe that would be a topic of conversation we put up for further discussion, where we can have some time to prepare our thoughts and prepare a meaningful agenda to address capital outlay, because we are in we're probably somewhere hovering in that three and a half year period mark of this plan. The plans, they change, or circumstances might cause your plan to change, so it does need to be reviewed. So,
Well, and COVID changed a lot of our 5-year plan. I mean,
absolutely.
It did a big number on our 5-year plan.
yeah, we start spending a lot of money
Yeah.
Wasn't
for the
we,
government.
wasn't we supposed to look at our 5-year plan this year? Am I right? Did we not make that decision at one of our meetings? Did we not talk about that?
We'll go back and look at it, but if we did, we may have, and it slips in my memory, but I'll go back and look, because if it is,
At our
then we
retreat.
need to preparing for having that discussion.
And we
I
probably
think
need to
what
go ahead and be
she's-
thinking about our retreat
I think
too,
what
'cause
she's
it's
talking
March.
about is we talked about the 5-year plan at our retreat last year, and I think that's when that discussion came up.
And we was gonna look at,
Yeah.
okay.
I believe that's correct.
So we need maybe circle back around to that. Okay, I'll make myself a note for that.
And start thinking about our retreat,
Mhm.
because it's March. We're almost at the end.
For some of it, we're just getting started, right? Board, as a collective, as a board, we're just getting started. At this board, anyway. All right.
Yes.
Any other questions for district planning? Okay. If not, then we'll have our student representative report. That'll either be Ms. Sackett or Ms. McGill.
Thank you. So we kind of already covered a lot of the student report with highlighting our fellow peers who just honestly went above and beyond and received extremely awesome, I was thinking of a fancy word, but extremely awesome scholarships. So we're very proud of them. And then also of the archery team at both the middle school and the high school level, because they are both advancing to nationals. And I know that that's something that happens quite often for the high school team. And those are students that truly apply themselves not only in the classroom and honors classes and other organizations, but also at archery practice. And then we also wanted to talk about Blue and Gold Blessings. So that's something that the FFA used to do as their community service project, where they feed city workers, it was one year, and then the police department and 911 the year or after that. And then this year we partnered with Skills USA and was able to feed the nurses at the local nursing home. So we were very happy with that, and I know the nursing home and nurses were very, very thankful, and we are always so appreciative of all of the community service members in our community, and we're very happy to be able to serve them. And then the FFA will be traveling to state convention this weekend, so I'll have a kind of a fun report when I come back from that.
That's great.
Very good.
Like Isabella said, you guys kind of stole everything we were going to talk about.
Well, so ladies, I'm sorry, just keep in mind, we had some discussion in our work session, but if you'd like to recognize those individuals by name in this setting, this is the appropriate time to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me and Isabella have been trying to expand more than just our knowledge of what we have, what's going on in the schools, and talk to teachers and the principal, because they see more of it than we do all of the times. Obviously, Scope. There was one thing I want to say about Scope is that I really enjoyed the aspect where you get to do the mock school board. That was one of my very favorite things to do. I enjoyed the debate, obviously. But the mock school board was very nice because we got to come together, and we even did Robert's Rules of Order in our own little way. And we got to come up with our own policy for vaping, whether it should be zero tolerance or not. And that was a very interesting experience. And on the way back with Mr. Brown, we got to engage with our chaperone teacher and have our own little debate on history, and that was a own little lesson of it in and of itself.
But you lost that one.
Yeah.
I guarantee you lost that one.
Obviously, with the basketball team. Do I need to say more? And I know for the band, solo and ensemble is coming up. That's where each student will either prepare their own solo or get together with a couple other students from the ensemble, and they find the music themselves and they practice in their own time, and then they go to a little competition where they get judged for it. Let's see. And then with the second 2 years in a row with Vanderbilt full ride scholarships, that is amazing. Full ride to Vanderbilt, gotta say. And that is James Siebers and Shane Barnes. And the 2 full rides to
UT.
To UT. I can't remember
Yes.
which one it was. Okay, and that's Lucas Blakeman and Maddie Rust, and we're the only county in the state that has 2 to get that scholarship. And flag football, their first official season is this season.
And we actually had a recruitment to Columbia from our flag football team, who we weren't even actually like a team last year, and recruited Calliana Griggs. So that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good, yeah.
That's fantastic. Great.
That's all we got.
That's a wonderful report. Any questions for student representatives? All right.
If I may, we
Yes, you
talked
may.
about Vanderbilt and we talked about Tennessee, but just important to note the logo that's on her computer. Just
Tennessee Tech.
Just-
point that out.
He just wanted to point that
Just want to
out.
point
All
that
right,
out.
Just make sure that whoever gets full ride to Tennessee Tech, that we recognize them as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Make sure one of
Yes,
that
sir.
happens, Mr. Smith. All right. Moving on. Then we appreciate the report. Our next item, public comment. Have Mr. Shannon Smith has indicated he'd like to be recognized by the board to speak tonight. The agenda item discussed would be maintenance, and so Mr. Smith, recognize you at this time and give you 5 minutes to speak.
Well, I appreciate y'all letting me come down and talk. As everybody knows, that Bondycroft is part of the school system up there, and that station was built in 1978. With all the new technology and equipment that we are getting, our building, just like the other ones of the school building that's on there, is not up to handling all of our equipment. And we're just asking is, since it's on school property, who's actually responsible for the upkeep of the building?
That would be that's a great question. Have not seen that come up on the school budget where we provide any maintenance or any support for that facility. I would
Probably
think
Chad Markham.
probably Mr. Markham. Would you have any insight as far as fire department, Bondycroft, or any of the other fire departments as far as who they where they get their funding or how that's done?
So the county provides an allocation
Is there any differentiation to the fact that that one's on school board property, maybe similar to the way Central Views is? Has there ever been any crossover between the school system because it's on that property? Or are they-
No, I think probably what should have happened and probably what needs to happen at some point is that needs to be deeded off. I mean, we've got the same issue in Cassville too. I'm sure that at the time that was just kind of, that made a logical sense, you know, to do that, but,
Yeah, because some of the even, like the tax, or like property viewers will show, it's hard to differentiate what's really school board versus county, and I mean, and
Yeah,
because of the 81 Act, I've always wondered what the difference was at that point, but.
yeah, I mean, by the deed of those properties, they belong to the school board, and so, you know, the building on the property, but it's never been the school board's responsibility to take care of those.
Excuse me just a second. So, Mr. Markham, what I understand you saying is that the property and the facility, that's on the school board's asset register, if you would, and there's no agreement, lease, or anything between the school system and the fire department, whether it was just, $1 a year for, $1 for the next 100 years or whatever. There's nothing on that defines any.
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Smith, are you aware of any document like that?
No, only thing I'm aware of, that when this first started back in '78, I've heard from the grandfathers of the station, that it went up for a 99-year lease, that it leased from the school. And that's all I pretty much know about it. And I have a solution if like Chad's talking about, to deed it off, to have y'all not liable for that building, to deed it off to the fire department and let us upkeep it and bring it up to standard.
So, I'm sorry, Mr. Markham, go ahead.
I would think that would be the fire department's responsibility anyways. I don't think that's never fell on the school board to take care of those buildings.
When we turn in our underwriter's report, we don't
And it's insured separately.
Yeah, we don't turn that into our insurance as being owned by the school system. We assume it's a White County
So
industry.
basically if we wanted to build on, we gotta have y'all's approval.
Yeah.
That's where we'd have to talk about the deeding of that. But I'm certainly, as far as the maintenance is concerned, I've always assumed that the fire department would take care of the maintenance of their own building. But we're certainly willing to partner if there's equipment, if there's trucks or equipment that we have that they could use. We've always partnered with the county to.
I was just kind of hazy on that. Excuse me. I was just a little bit hazy on it.
Yeah, and I think it goes to I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to be speaking out of turn, but I think it goes to what Mr. Markham was saying, is that the deeding issue of whose property it really is. Right now, legally, I guess that's showing on White County School Board property, which makes that difficult for you to do what you want to do. But so that may be the issue we need to really look at from the county commission side of thing, is how we get to that point. But regardless, the school system's interested in remaining good partners with the fire department. And so if we have a bucket truck or a forklift or anything that can assist you, I mean, I see that as county assets that we can help each other without costing you more money.
So, if Mr. Smith, if I could suggest, I mean, obviously, there's nothing we can do tonight's meeting to do this, but I appreciate you bringing this up. I'm going to ask, and board members, if you have any better ideas, let me know. But I'm going to think that we should ask Mr. Drumbarger to maybe get with Mr. Markham, Executive Robinson, and they get together, and let's come up with a look at the risk that poses both you and the school system, do a little risk assessment there and see what's the best option for going forward. And maybe if somebody might have that 99-year lease, and we can go back and look at that if it truly was there. But I think it's clarity, because you have needs and you need some clarity, and I think we should probably move towards getting some action on that, because if you need to improve the quality of fire service you're delivering, you don't need to wait on us. We need to move this
The
forward.
community's growing,
Yeah.
just as White County's growing.
Yeah.
And to be able to grow, you gotta grow with it.
Absolutely.
What kind of funds are you looking at as far as adding on? I know you probably got bigger trucks now that are,
Yeah, I've
you
got
know,
trucks.
won't fit in your building.
Yeah, our original building was only 8-foot doors.
Okay.
So now, you gotta have 14, 16-foot high
Yeah,
doors.
yeah.
In order to build onto a side of the building there, we're gonna put 14-foot doors in there, 36 by 50 addition we was looking at doing. But like before, you know, we gotta have clarity.
Right, yeah. Let's try to work have some clarity, and I'm not sure, probably be, the clarity and understanding probably take place outside of this setting. Then what'll happen is somebody will come up with, either you or Mayor Robinson come up with a plan and then present it to the board, and we would take action at that point in time.
Okay.
And Mr. Markham, just from what I'm hearing here tonight, we might want to look at all of the properties that are in question like
That's what I was
that.
gonna
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
That we need to, we need to do something so that we don't run into this again. I mean, like Mr. Young said, I'm all about being in good faith standing with our fire departments, because they provide not just for our schools and our kids, but our communities. And I think that we need to make sure that they're taken care of and get everything that they need to make their equipment top notch. So that might be something we want to have as a list of properties that are shared with the school system and the fire departments.
I think maybe just ask as you do that. Let's
Yeah.
not, let's look at Bondycroft, let's look at Cassville, let's look at Central View, any place else that there may be some need some clarity on, because that, you can do that, and you can bring that back to us, keep us updated on that, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Could I ask, the area that you're wanting to build on, how big an area is it gonna take off of the school's property?
None.
No.
It would,
Not
He's
one
got
bit
room
of
there.
school property.
Plenty of room, oh, yeah.
It's actually
That's a
right
school.
up there, right up against the highway, so it wouldn't take nothing of the school.
So that should be a simple fix then, correct?
Yeah. And we'll talk about that, and I know you had an interest of doing a side entrance maybe coming off our driveway. We can work on that. We just need to work out, we'll talk to the county executive, we'll work on these bigger issues, and then we can start talking about specifically what we can do to work together to make that work for you. So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really do.
yeah,
All
I
right,
think that's good.
thank you. All right, nothing else on public comments, so we'll move on to new business. As mentioned, Ms. Kennard had requested to be on the agenda. Saw her email late, and I apologize for that, Ms. Kennard. So recognize you now to share us on the Healthy School Challenge.
Oh, man.
Yes, I like to have
Your color too.
Okay, so the Healthier Schools Challenge was set up by TSBA, Tennessee Department of Education's Division of Coordinated School Health, and WellPoint. WellPoint is one of the MCOs for TennCare now. And they used to do this. Now, I've been here for 10 years and we've never done it. So it was prior to that 10 years, they would do a Healthier Schools Challenge. And so WellPoint approached TDOE and Lori Paisley, and they discussed it, and they rolled it out at the TSBA annual convention. So what it is there are 13 areas that a school can meet. And to get platinum status, you have to meet 12 of those 13. And as we are right now, I think we have 2 or 3 that we're not meeting. And so my goal is to get us to that. I want all 13. I don't just want 12 to get the platinum status. I want them all. I was taught go big or go home. So that's what I want to do. And part of that is wellness for our school board. And so I have to have 50% of the school board
Cover
members
the cookies up.
participating. Cookies are moderation. You can have cookies in moderation. And my thought process was, and what I shared with Mr. McDonald was, that we monitor your blood pressures once a week. If you don't have a way to check your blood pressure at home, you can stop by one of the schools and one of the school nurses will be glad to check it for you. And then a minimum of 30 minutes, 3 times a week, walking. I'm not asking you to go out and start jazzercising or anything crazy like that. just get some physical activity. And I would like to track, I would send each one of you your own Google document so that it's private, but that way we can track your blood pressure and your minutes walked each week, and to see if there's a correlation with your blood pressures coming down with the more physical activity that you're getting. So that's what I propose for y'all. If you would like to know some of the other things that we're doing that meet each one of the little standards, you just ask me and I'll let you know what we're doing. So we're doing lots of good things in the schools.
So are we the 13th that you're uncertain if we're doing, is that what you're saying?
Well, you're one of those.
Okay.
There's maybe one or two others on there. I do need students to participate at our SHAC, which is our health council meetings, and that won't be a problem. We can get them to participate by getting prior approvals for them to go.
I know of two right now.
Yes,
Yes.
I'd already thought of two that I'm gonna hit up. And Isabella has been great, and so is Joy, about working with Move to Stand and going into schools and helping us do health education. They do all of our bullying prevention education with our 4th and 5th graders. And after testing, we're working on some things to do with 4th and 5th grade that center around healthy drinks, mindfulness, physical activity, and vaping and tobacco prevention.
So, Ms. Kennard, would we see you after this meeting to sign up, or are we as board committing to do that? or-
I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so do we have,
Do you need it?
I was gonna say,
I was
you
gonna- I'm looking at it
I'll wait
like.
for y'all to get around to it.
no, we're being voluntold that we should participate, okay? So, Ms. Kennard, just see us after the meeting. and
Okay,
we'll get
I
that
really
set up.
appreciate it. If we do get platinum, which we're going to, then we get recognized at the TSBA convention in November and an $8,000 reward. So-
Well, it's worth $8,000 for us to do this, yes.
There we go.
Yes.
And we
And
can
I might
buy-
be able to give you your award.
Well, wouldn't that be
That would be
nice?
nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So,
So we can buy $8,000 worth of cookies, is what you're saying.
After this is over.
how about $8,000 worth of like strawberries
There we
or
go. Okay,
blueberries or
okay.
something like that, okay?
They might die, them strawberries or that.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, Ms. Kennard. All right.
You are.
All right, next item on our new business is discussion on snow day pay for support staff. We've talked about support staff and how when we have snow days that they're a little hindered from earning some their wages for that day if schools closed. And so you provided some information about the cost. If I'm not mistaken, we had this was in our discussion last month. But basically, what the cost was for the support staff for one day of school. Mr. D provided us with that information, and roughly the cost for support staff employees district-wide for one day is approximately $31,000. So if we chose to provide that day pay for compensation for that day missed or days, did we decide on the days?
Well, no, we did not say that was just per day. So if I could
Yes,
just interject,
please.
I'll just say there's nothing that needs to be decided today. I'm praying that we're done with inclement weather this year, and we're kind of out of days anyway. But this comes up every year. It's been a problem that I've seen over the years. It's always something that's bothered me because I feel like most counties around us, their staff are paid on those days. It's almost like a reward for hard work that they put in, and maybe the lower salaries that we don't pay in the first place. But it's always bothered me that we save money by, I feel like, taking it out of the pockets of the people that need it the most. Teachers are paid on their contract whether it snows or not. A lot of staff people like myself are paid whether it snows or not. I do work on snow days. But staff people don't. A lot of our staff don't get paid, and I've checked with a lot of people in the Upper Cumberland. Most people don't work on those days. Most of their staffs are rewarded with the day off with pay. There are many people that would be on call, though. Your maintenance people have to be on call, custodians in case there's a water break or something. Obviously, I'm working, but there's a lot of people who remain on call. But right now, currently, we have secretaries that have to come in, bookkeepers that come in, custodians, maintenance, and the problem has been that I felt I couldn't let people get paid to stay home when I had these other people that had to come in to get paid. And so, our teachers, as teacher assistants, is the biggest bulk of this group that doesn't get paid on those days. Now, in my heart, I wanted to say let's just pay that, but it is a $31,000 per day cost. That's the amount of money that it costs for the people that we're saving because they're not getting paid that day. This doesn't include some of the people that are already there. The money is there. I mean, it's in the budget for those days, because if it didn't snow, we would pay those people. So the money is there, but if you multiply that times 11 days that we used this year, that's $340,000. So it's a considerable cost. So that's the rub. It is a cost savings measure for the district, but it is one that always I hear from our staff that the board is always faithful to allow them to make up time, and they make up 5 days. It takes, if you work 15 minutes extra every day of the year, that equals 5 days. So you can see how much time it would take to make up 11 or 12 or 13. So this is just for the board to consider, really just for informational purposes tonight. It's nothing that needs to be decided today. Probably maybe next meeting it would have to make a decision, because we're getting into budget season for next year, and if that was something the board was wanting to consider. This comes out of my heart for our staff, and out of my mind of what other districts around us do, and just for the board's consideration and conversation.
So just for clarity, now that I recall, we had approved them to make up the time for time missed.
5 days.
5 days. And so what we're saying here, not taking any action tonight, but considering for next budget cycle, whether or not we would include that as where support staff would be paid for snow days regardless?
Yes.
Okay. So we have some approximate.
6 more days.
We have approximate amount that we would be looking at, but this is really something that would be in discussion for as we go into next year's budget cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
Which would be next month,
So-
because we'll be having budget meetings next month.
Okay.
Just for my clarity, I guess, 13 days or 11 days, right? 11
It was
days?
11 this year because it's 13 days by law. It was 11 this year because we used 2 of those days for teacher in-service
Okay.
days. And those days, those staff were able to work.
Okay, so 11 days, that's $340,000 that would be coming, that we would need to add to our budget next year.
No, it's just money you wouldn't save at the end of next year. It's already
It's
in the
already
budget, 'cause
there.
we've already got money budgeted to pay those people if it doesn't snow. But if it does snow, we didn't have to pay them, so it's money that's
Okay.
left over at the end of the year.
So right now, they're making up 5 days. There's
So when does that
6
start?
days.
The making of.
It has already.
Okay.
There's 6 days that they're going to be without pay
Correct.
this year, but we're looking to alleviate that next year and pay this, if we're out for snow, they're out for snow, they don't have to make up any time.
That's
11 days.
correct. That's
11
just a
days max.
suggestion that I want the board's input on. It's a financial decision because it's money that's already budgeted, and you're not raising the budget, you're not raising any taxes. It's just, you gotta understand that it's $340,000 at the end of the year that you won't have to put back in the general fund as we did this year.
So continue discussion, but basically what you're saying is that's the information that we would be, based on this year, what we'd be looking at per day, and we could consider that on how we want to address as a board snow day pay for support staff in an upcoming budget cycle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for the information.
For my clarification, is it a policy written somewhere saying that we're not gonna pay them?
I don't know if that's in policy. That's our procedure, it's our practice. I don't know if that's in policy that we do that, but actually there is, I may take that back. There is, it's in their pay scale as far as their hourly time worked. So if they haven't worked it, it's not on a timesheet to be paid. So, because they're hourly employees. So that's how it shows up in our accounting procedures.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Yes.
So we would just need to think about doing it for 11 days, and that's kind of maybe how we would word it, or are we?
Did we put 2 PD next year?
No, 13.
So it's 13.
So it'd be
next year.
13.
Yeah, so it's back to 13 because we did not use professional development days, so it'd be a total of 13. Again, the money will be budgeted for those days.
Right, yeah.
It's just, you just gotta recognize that, you know, whatever we put back this year, give or take, you would subtract close to $400,000 from that. If that's provided, if we used all those snow days anyway, and
So, if you only used one snow day, then you'd just be putting in $31,000. The budget, money's already been budgeted for, you're not gonna, so, I think it's good discussion. Does everyone understand kind of what's being, the information being presented? So I think we come into because we're not gonna take any action tonight, on this, be a budget item for next year. I think this is more just to prepare us when we get into those talks next month. Does that accomplish what we wanted to accomplish? Okay. All right. Then we'll, if that, we'll move on to old business. Just a reminder, as a board, we have to pass a resolution, and that we will, for the Education Freedom Act of 2025, that we will provide a one-time bonus of no less than $2,000 to public school teachers in our district, and so we have to pass a resolution for that. A draft resolution was presented last month. It's put in old business just the fact that we remember that we have to have this done. It has to be done by June 1st. So probably what we want to do is just ask you to review that resolution again, and probably don't want to procrastinate. We'll probably take it up in our April meeting, okay? Which is about 3 weeks away. So we'll look at drafting a resolution, having that ready to go, so we can take care of that if that's what we choose to do as a board. So any questions, comments on that?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever receive any information as to who was considered a teacher?
so, yes, good question. The state is still defining that. I think the legislature is still defining what that is. The original definition is classroom teachers, or teachers that have students in front of them more than 50% of the day. So that excludes a lot of people. And that is something the board's going to want to consider as well, and I brought that forward. There's of how much, I think we estimated it would be an additional, for every certified teacher in our district, it would be an additional, I think, $140,000 for the district to match, pay that $2,000 bonus, so that every certified teacher got that bonus. And because by the state's definition, they're going to leave out a lot of our staff. You know, certainly all administrators, principals, curriculum coaches, many Encore or RTI teachers that do have different classes. So there's a lot of people that'll be left out of that mix. So that will be. I'll have that information for you as soon as I can. I'll get that to you. If not in next meeting, I'll have it in your weekly updates. I'll get that information. As soon as they give me that definition, we'll know, and then we'll be able to determine what that dollar amount is that the board would have to consider or not. You know, I've talked to other districts. You know, a lot of districts are having a struggle. I think we could take it out of the bank, but and I think that would be a great thing for the board to acknowledge our teachers and such. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. But it's put districts in a difficult position because you're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to try and pay all of our teachers, or are we going to just give it to these people that the state's going to allow us the money to? And then it doesn't do anything to address support staff, and that's where I think maybe we can do something with support staff on this other. So I'll give you more information in your weekly updates. I'll give you the definition of what they're classifying a teacher as soon as I get it. But that's why I brought it forth as just continued discussion tonight. But it is something that this doesn't have to be decided until June 1st. But if you're talking to it about from a budgetary perspective, it'll be something we'll want to address that part of it pretty soon. And I'll get you the information as soon as I have it.
Okay. All right, so any other questions regarding the resolution for teacher bonus? Okay. If not, then we'll move on to Chairman's comments. A lot of recognitions tonight that were made, and certainly want to recognize as we did the middle school archery team, but also White County Warriorette basketball team for their appearance in the state tournament. Appreciate the work that the ladies and Coach Dodge and staff did, and they're representing our district well, and so congratulations to them. So our next board meeting will be April 10th at Woodland Park. We'll have our work session at 5 o'clock and our regular board meeting at 6. So that brings us to the conclusion of our agenda. So this time I entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.